there, welcome to my channel. My name is Lord Priscilla Phillips, and in this video I will be discussing or rather highlighting my observation of biological, or rather say anatomy irritation of an autistic person. um, being being an autistic person myself, and having to have observed my life, my anatomy, my biological reaction, irritation, challenges, response to the weather or to the atmosphere around me, that sort of a thing. So that's what this video is about. Because my previous video, which was basically an introduction to navigating life as an autistic adult, one of the things I want to be able to point out, or the various things I want to point out, is the highlight of biological irritation in which I have been able to catch up with in my own body, and just having experience with myself. Number one of that is contraceptive. Sorry, did I say contraceptive? Sorry, I mean constipation. Contraceptive, good. Constipation. Constipation, because I'm trying to project my voice because of the noise, background noise. Yeah, so stay in my slow. I don't understand why people are talking as their voice have have speaker. Okay, we have speaker. Reduce the speaker. Like, yes. Anyways, one of those things is having constipation. Constipation primarily as it relates to my body as a female. This is aside having menstrual constipation. I'm aware of that. I do have that sometimes. However, I'm talking about constipation as it relates to an autistic person. It's something I have observed that seems to be very rampant. Now, haven't again observed so many autistic people. I've seen a few here and there, observing from a distance, but the one in particular I had the opportunity to have a close observation with was always having constipation, right? And this autistic person is even a child at the time. Yeah, and a he, and not just a he, a masculine energy. So it's very important because I'm masculine energy, right? Yes, 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 I know I'm non-binary, I'm two-spirited, non-binary, who is masculine presenting, masculine energetically presenting, right? So I will see a lot of things from the perspective of masculinity first before I will see it from a feminine perspective. You get my point? So I noticed with this child, this is an autistic child, he was always having constipation. And the bizarre thing about his own environment or his own space is that, in my opinion, his mom is ignorant about what works with an autistic person. And that being said, is that even me myself, I am learning what it is, how to navigate myself as an autistic adult, right? So I do completely get the overwhelming of being a parent to a special needs child. And special needs child comes in so many. You can have an autistic person who is visually impaired. You can have an autistic person who is vocally impaired. You can have an autistic person who is mobility impaired, like moving your body, like limbs, leg, like how quote unquote normal human being moves their body. You can have all kinds, see the variety of autistic presentation is plenty. So it is very important to, that's why I keep saying, or I am saying, it is very important to know your own peculiar person as an autistic person. Again, every human being, autistic or not autistic, we're all different people. We all have our unique fingerprints. For the fact that we have our unique fingerprint makes us different. So tapping into that and understanding, as an autistic person, you have your own variation of an autistic person. Whether you're low frequency, high frequency, you have a variation. And in my close observation of that child, is because I keep wondering, why is he having constipation? Why is he having constipation? Why is he having constipation? A lot of reasons I saw, of course, in the choice of diets he was exposed to at the time was part of it, right? And for him, he had a mom who was some sort of a way, I don't know how to say, like some sort of a way, so concerned. I won't use the word obsessed, but it did come off like an obsession to me. She was so concerned about how the public viewed him, like how they viewed her or him. I don't know which exactly was the ish, but I remember making mention of that, and I'm like, you seem embarrassed about this child of yours. Why? And it's not just even about you being embarrassed, you're projecting your embarrassment on this child. And it's not just her. Every time I have seen an autistic person with their autistic parents, usually a mom, usually a single mom. Don't ask me why in this Nigeria, why that's like that, but this is what my own personal encounter and experience has been so far. There's always that mother, autistic child's mother, who is embarrassed, and they are usually projecting that embarrassment onto that child. I remember one, Chichi. Thank you, Chichi, by the way. I'm saying thank you because of that laptop bag. It's really serving. Anyways, and Chichi has an autistic child. His own autism, um he talks, he's sort of not completely vocal, but what I want to point out about Chichi's own autistic son is that he's the type of autistic son that breaks things. You know, that type you'd have probably seen on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, yeah, online primarily, where you see there's this one that happened recently, not so far or not so close recently, but a little still recent, where the boy was in a store. The boy was in a store. All of a sudden, he was on top of the table, knocking down all the television. We're talking of big screen TV, and I remember watching that video and was like, what kind of indiscipline is this? That's the one thing that came to my mind. What kind of indiscipline is this? For me, that situation, that parent will pay every dime face to face, whether your child is autistic or not. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because it is on you to what? Discipline your child, whether autistic or not. Now, there's a way you discipline an autistic child. It's different from how you discipline a normal child or a non-autistic child, right? I'll get there. But I'm still on, you know, the various biological irritation. Now, this Chichi's son would, because he slammed, he broke the TV. I don't know why I'm laughing. He broke the TV in the house. Like, no, it wasn't the first time, it was the second time. I got it wrong. I'm like, oh, girl. And then the main other part one, bringing his story, highlighting his story in this video, is that he would hurt himself. Like, not small, he pinch himself, he scratch himself, hot, like he would wound him on his own self. And he would do that exact full coordinative reasons are, but for my little catch of it, and what the mom said my take on that, or my theory, is that he does it to discipline himself. And I remember telling or mentioning on my other previous video that I used to beat myself or beat myself, like discipline me. You understand? Like, what the fuck did you do that for? Like, this like long time ago in my early 20s, late teens, into my 20s. Because of my own upbringing, where I come from, like discipline is key, and I know what is right from what is wrong. These days I use the word what is correct. What is correct, what is divine, what is true and correct, to be done. And I don't do up. There are times where then I remember I will, get when I will punch the wall till I bruise my knuckles, especially when I am, controlling my temper not to hit a person who deserves it. It's not the person deserves it. So this person, this child, the son was a preteen at the time, right? Would do that, and I just took note of that. One time we had the conversation with Chichi, and she said a lot of things, and I thought that you were the one projecting that situation happening to him, and she looked at it, she reflected on it and came back and said, yeah, that makes sense. So one of the major things, sorry, I'm trying not to digress so much from the conversation, because I am the only one who knows how to connect everything, so I'm being thoughtful of you guys. So why I mentioned that is part of irritation, right? It's part of irritation. That one is sensory irritation. When you're over, when an autistic person is overwhelmed, which happened to me some days ago in my training space, So I'm like, it helped me not comprehended deeply why that child on top of in that store was breaking people's TV, was breaking the store TV. He also connected me to Chichi's son, why he would have broken the TV, like not once, not twice, you understand? Because of sensory, I call it sensory irritation. Like for me now, I get aside constipation, which I was touching on, another thing to that, to my biological irritation. Let me not generalize it, because I know every autistic person is slightly different, but there are certain things that are consistent. I have observed are consistent with autistic people. Number one is the constipation that you would have depending on the food you eat, indigestion as well, constipation, indigestion. So for me, I have a lot of mismag around, or anything that will help relieve digestion. Timing of eating, I can't eat late night, because eating late night also stirs up indigestion. There's a certain type of meals that I would eat that would also contribute to me having, or me being triggered into having constipation as well. Stuffing of food. So when you stuffing food, and this is something I noticed with this woman's behavior or natural process to her son, is like I said, she seemed very concerned, like it was just too unnecessarily type of concern. So to me, again, it sort of come off as obsession, that how people viewed her or viewed him, whatever. So to her, she was more concerned about, oh, I want to feed him to look chubby, I want to feed him. And with my personal experience, I noticed that is a complete disaster. Now I now get why the boy was, aside from the physical biological trauma he's had, because he was working as someone who had stroke, which made sense why his body would react that way as an autistic person, because of the level of shock that would have hit him when he fell, and terror, fear, right? Good. This is what I was trying to point at on my previous video, when the introduction intro into navigating life as an autistic person. And bringing all that together, one thing I have observed that you don't do, especially with an autistic child, if you're still on the child, they're still children, you don't overfeed an autistic person. That's number one. And then I understand, it now makes sense why he was heavy. The child was, if he looked like he can't walk. Again, aside of, relax, I love you. Aside the trauma he had on his body, which is obvious, his body was heavy for him. And that's because the mom was overfeeding him, primarily so that he would look appealing to other people. God. Hey, Frances. Anyways, and then some days you know she showed me a video of her feeding him chicken. I'm sorry. That was very. It was very dumb. Okay, you're feeding somebody chicken. You need to understand the digestive system of an autistic person is slow. By the word slow, he likes to gagari. He likes to do shakara. The biological, the anatomy of an autistic person is shakara. He likes to take his time to do what it will do. So if you go and rush it, your body will tell you. Now you go come suffer. When the child is having seizure, then you could carry the child. This lady has has built muscles and bicep of carrying this child. This is not funny, but you know, I'm seeing it from I'm seeing it from a funny perspective to damp my irritation, because all that was fucking stupid and bullshit. I'm sorry. It's a sensitive matter, but this is how I feel as an individual who observed it. And so, she will feed the child chicken. This the system. Another thing I've noticed about an autistic person, measuring myself, we like things naturally. We like natural things. We like organic things. The moment you bring an adulterated thing into our body, boom, that alone can trigger an autistic person, depending on what level or range that person is with themselves, or that child in this case, right? So constipation. Before I forget, I want to quickly mention another one is ulcer. Okay, now for me, this is not a confirm biological irritation. It's a theory for me, right? Aside the fact that I have ulcer, and for different reason why that would have been so, again, I'm going to reflect back on this experience, this close encounter I had with this excuse me, with this autistic 8-year-old who was going 8 at the time, so 7-year-old autistic boy at the time. And with what the mom also said, he's usually having stomach ache. She said, I remember that night, she said when he's hungry, like his tummy will be biting. There's a way she said it to me, and at that time, you know me now, this is 3 years now, the way I had looked, trust me, I looked back and forth into that conversation, into that situation, that experience from different perspective, individually. That's how I do. I like to I like to compartmentalize things. That's how I come. This is why I'm feeling overwhelmed right now, because I am saying it exactly like this. I need the time to compartmentalize. If I have to compartmentalize here on life, yeah, we're talking about, it's a whole movie. You are going to be watching the whole movie, and me, I'm being prudent with my data, right? So that's why when I'm feeling overwhelmed myself, I'm talking myself, I'm soothing myself, so that, you know, I take it, I take the things I want to say one bit at a time. So that's when I was doing a reflection on it. That's what the voice, the conversation of I and the voice was having, like that could be possibly what was going on with me. Remember in that video I said one of the things that came to my heart was that I'm going to heal this boy. And I said, this boy is just autistic, there's nothing wrong with him. Nothing wrong with him, but where is the healing is coming from is that getting his autistic state of being in balance. That's what I mean by healing. First of all, why he was walking that way, that whole stroke looking look on his body. Secondly is that pain, tummy ache he has when he's eating. Even when he don't eat good, they cry like tea. And then the more let me just say something. And then the more we feeding him food that you know even make sense. You understand? You know even make sense. However, to add, she said in the past she's done keto and everything. I'm like, so stay on it. This is not something you get tired of. And then when you're doing keto, you're not doing keto on, I don't know, like you're gonna be buying keto from people who make keto. No, you're going to make the keto yourself. How much at that time? How much is pear? All this thing, that's avocado. How much is you know, like these are things you that can be planned. You know, have a meal plan. You know, have a roasters. One of the things I said to her. And however, I could see so many things that she was doing completely wrong just by using myself as an example. In that experience, for me, one of the things I told her that actually was or is a clinical hey, where is this word going? A clinical routine for an autistic person is walking barefoot. Sorry, I'm going to show you my feet. Walk barefoot. Ground your leg on the floor. Connect. It works for me like magic, right? And I told her when I first got into her space, okay, grant him. Another thing I did is that I wrapped the boys. The way I wrapped is the way you wrap a baby. You wrap. I say when you go to Asian, the way they wrap. I don't know where that came from. I just wrapped. Strapped him because he's an autistic child. He would behave in the genes in which he would behave. Do you understand? From the genes of his parents. So he's not a calm type. I mean, I want to specify on. He's not a calm type. So I had to wrap him, plenty struggle, use strap the child. So she later got joined into this group, this international group for autistic people, parents, and they usually bring in like lecturers or facilitators, one of which she was there when she was online with them. One of them is a doctor, and also herself, she's autistic. And so when she finished it, she's like, oh, when she came, she saw it, she think, this is one of the things they even talked about, like you wrap the child, do this. Before I came, I talked about salt. I talked about so many things that when she got into the group, that was the same thing. This is a PhD holder, Caucasian doctor. This is the same thing. You people like to respect them, so let me emphasize it. This is the same thing this woman was saying. And guess what? These things are no different from what African spaces, African traditional medicine spaces already are aware of. And me coming from a lineage that has that, this thing came naturally to me. Hey God, though. And so in all this observation, I was just using myself, and that's what the voice told me: use yourself and check, because this person, this boy, you are exactly, this is what you are. That's what that voice told me. Maybe I saw the child and the voice clear, say, this is what you are. Because before then, I didn't have an exact name to what I am. I knew I was different. I knew neurologically, biologically, I knew I was neurodivergent, right? However, not exactly that. And then in my space, I had not sat into my soul deeply for me to be able to even receive that, word or that connection for me. So it took that to happen externally, and it just stuck. And I'm like, oh, I get it. I get why one of the reasons you sent me here. So At the end of the day, there were so many things this mother was doing completely wrong. Now, this is not about the mom or trying to rebuke the mom. This is about being aware, silencing your mind, silencing your being, disconnecting from whatever external world it is, and going inside, because that's where there is healing. Healing is in the inside. So before I go into all that, I've mentioned constipation, indigestion. For autistic people, this is like very common. So you must have a lot of ingredients around to help detox. For me, I always detox. It's my own, but that's one time I give thanks for my body. Like, my body is so divine. I go to toilet, like I use the toilet every morning. And I have seen people who don't use the toilet every morning, and I'm like, oh dear, is that supposed to be normal, right? So for an autistic person, when you are stuffing the person up, for those mother of you that want to come and make your children look fat and not look slim, there's one thing you need to understand, is that an autistic person are likely to look that slim if they are going to be active, except you want to breed an ordain. Like, I don't want to use the word imbecile. There has to be another word that is more than imbecile for me. Imbecile for me is normal because I'm autistic. I can relate to the imbecile system of behavior, right? So the word imbecile doesn't cut it for me. Imbecile for me means normality in my own eye, in my own mind, you know. So except you want to breed, you want to nurture somebody, a child that would not be able to use their own cognitive and will not be able to trust in their own unique body system, then you can be stuffing them with food and all that stuff. Because I've noticed it. I've noticed it. Some autistic people will react to all of these things. When you stuff the child up, we need to be light. Because I've been avoiding using the word we, because I want to really, come from an individual experience of my own self, and then respect the other individual of other autistic people, be it child or adult. We need to be light. That lightness helps us in our mobility, in our activity, in activeness, like physical activeness, right? From what this parent told me, she done a lot. Kudos to her, really, because that is her deserving. But when I see people with autistic kids, one thing that comes to my mind on a spiritual note is that, they hear word, they listen inwardly. So this is one of the reasons, or this is something to help you nurture your inner world, right? To nurture your inner world, whatever that will mean. So a lot of things I observed with this child, I saw that, if you do it like this, you're likely going to even cause more problem for you, because the child will be falling sick, the seizure, and there's nothing wrong in seizure. Now, that's another thing I have noticed. I have a lot of seizure, but my own seizure, a lot of my seizure are related spiritually. I think all the seizure really are related spiritually. But this is one thing I've also noticed in our seizures, is that when we are expanding in our horizon, when we are expanding in our knowledge space, when we are expanding, what does that mean? What am I trying to say? I'm saying that when we are pushing ourselves to do things, or when we're being pushed to do things, like one of the things that happened with this autistic child, we took him outside. I insisted, take him outside barefoot, let him feel the earth. Although the house was cemented, I would have preferred sand, earth, or grass. I said that will work. At least hitting your leg, it will hit certain pointers of the feet, and that helps connect to the brain, especially the cognitive parts of your brain, right? So we went down, walked, and we were walking. He's lazy, he doesn't want to do anything. That's one thing you see with autistic people, by the way. And then, but his own came in the fact that his mother bombed him. And that's one thing you have to get straight. Loving somebody correctly and love bombing are two separate things. Because in love, there is discipline. In love, there is correction. Any form of love that don't have correction and discipline is not love, is love bombing. Any form of love that does not take its time to understudy what works for you, what is good for you, is love bombing, and that is toxic, right? So after a short period of while, he tried, he started having, he had seizure. At first he started calm. That's how he starts small, like generator. Like he just started seizuring. So he eventually seizured, and seizure, when you seizure, you get weak. You can't. You have to have built inner stamina for you to be able to even still push yourself and do things after a seizure, especially a series of seizure. So he had one seizure, he was already doing weak, his eye, he wants to relax. And one thing I noticed about the boy, when he eats, immediately he eats, he just lie down on the bed. I have that same behavior. However, I usually catch myself and stand up, oh yeah, stand for a while. I'll now get into my military behavior, like teaching. I'll armor up immediately and get into that space. I like stand up. Oh yeah, at ease, attention. Because we like comfort. Autistic people like see baje. You see, we self-spoil ourselves to the comfort that we are. So removing an autistic person from their comfort to a discomfort place to achieve certain biological betterment for them, seizure will happen. And for me, one of the ways I've been interpreting that for me, because even in this my coding class, I get seizure. Yesterday I was like, I have to stand and say, please. It's not that I'm ashamed. I feel break something, like my vibration can tumble things. I just stood up. Unfortunately for the situation, the trainer is ignorant. I said, you're ignorant of what is going on. So I just came home, relaxed, lie down for a while, pull my shirt, pull all of my innerwear, because another thing, for both male and female, we get irritated by things, by clothes. So having the right texture of clothes is very important. Even me as an adult, this as I did like this now, bless, I won't suffocate. That's why I don't wear bra. Again, some really, really ignorant Nigerians. I remember one time, one babe saw me without bra. I wasn't wearing bra. My breast was like, normal now, nipple to show, or breast, or however he wants to show it to show. She came like, hey, bra, this thing. I was just looking at her. I said, because I want to not wear bra. Shupo, get out. Carry your religious blindness and foolishness and get out of my front. I know me, I have small body now. You think I'm a teenager. I said, look at this monkey. She entered her car. She see me say I enter my own car. I said, what's your problem? Me, I don't talk. I just start on my mind. I'm like, these people, they'll come and be projecting their own moral insecurity or moral imbalance. And one thing somebody said recently on this, what's this baby name? Ivy, Precious Ivy, man. I already like the girl already. Like her papa join up. Like the father said something. The way he said your dressing does not represent your moral, does not define you morally. I said, wisdom. This kind of people I want to associate my life, my space with. People will just be wise. They'll just be wise. They'll just be wising and be saying wise things. God, this kind of place I want to associate with. That lady doesn't know the kind blessed where she get that kind of papa, we talk that kind of thing. Because she's somebody that dances. If you know Ivy Precious, I hope I'm saying her name correctly. She dances, however, she just cover her nipple and dance, shake belly dancing, all of those things. So her body they show where. And she asked a very important question to the father. I'm sorry, I'm digressing. I'm not digressing. I'm just, connecting, having conversation here. And the father said, and she asked the father, how do you feel when your friends send you pictures of me? My kind, what I do, how my pictures are always looking. I said, I just smile. That's all there is to do, is I just smile. That's what I really do. I just smile. I'm like, this kind of man, this kind. And he said he had her at 20 when she asked him, what age were you when you had me? This is the first time I'm seeing like a father and daughter kind of conversation like that, because the guy is still sharply young, the lady is young. Obviously, she looks like she's more than 20 and her early 20s. And why are you just wise like that? Man, we're wise. It's not some, well, it's something you find everywhere. You just have to know how to identify it, right? So as a woman, you know what wise, because you have one picking, you this one two picking. You don't want just wise, just they stupid. They repeat the same cycle over and over and be doing. So so these are the things I've observed, right? So when we are learning new things, when we are expanding our mind or expanding an aspect of us, seizure is likely to happen again. That's why I said this is the theory I am personally observing myself with. Seizure is likely to happen, right? So why am I saying that? Remember, I'm saying this lady's son, after taking for a few walk, I was not connecting it the other day. I was like, wait, maybe because in eye turn am small. I say, even if eye turn am small, this is not picking where they play before, because he has an history before. He was I've never seen his pictures before. I saw what he looks like, but from what the mom said, he was okay. He's still an autistic child, but he didn't have this physical traumatized, dragging one side and the rest. And this is also something I learned about that within my father before he died. My father is a chubby man, so he's chubby, fine man. They call him woman, like he's fine. So, and during his brief experience or brief encounter of myself with him, while he had stroke because diabetes gave him like high level of diabetes. There's a way he used to drag his body because he's an heavy guy, right? They not be like say heavy like muscle wise. He body he's chubby. So a lot of reasons that I can't share here immediately has given me my theories or my speculation that you are not supposed to overweight an autistic person. An autistic person should be very more like athletic looking. So again, those of you that will have an autistic child, you'll be feeding the child up and down with chicken first of all, number one, white meat. Why you